How you doing, good people? This is the 8-Bit Animal, and I do not have my do-rag on today. I like to talk about how imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, particularly with video games, right? A lot of games are inspired by things that came before them that were notably successful. We got a whole bunch of Space Invader clones after Space Invaders caused the 100-year coin shortage in Japan. That really happened in the 70s. Go look it up. We got a bunch of Pac-Man clones. Once Pac-Man came out and spawned Saturday morning cartoons, Chef Boyardee, pasta, breakfast cereals, board games, and a hit song. Silly song, but a hit song. Pac-Man Fever is dumb fun. We got a bunch of Donkey Kong clones. We got, and lots of these games spawned a lot of notable games that did something different, brought something new to the table, inspired imitation. And in 1986, I want to say, Taito releases Bubble Bobble. Bubble Bobble spawns imitation. And in 1990, Toaplan gives us their take on the Bubble Bobble formula. With a little arcade game called Snow Brothers. And Snow Brothers was ported to a bunch of different stuff. In the West, in the US, the port was handled by a company called Soft House and was published by our good friends at Capcom. They did a decent enough job with it. So let's take a look at the port. Today, we're going to take a look at the 1991 NES port of Snow Brothers. Now, Snow Brothers stars Prince Nick and Prince Tom. And they are on a quest to rescue Princess Terry and Princess Tina from King Scorch. Terry and Tina are the names of the princesses in the US version, but the Japanese version, the princesses are named Princess Peri Peri and Princess Poochie Poochie. Yeah, I prefer the original names. Terry and Tina is cool, but whatever. And the gameplay for all accounts, functions the same as the Bubble Bobble gameplay. Instead of encasing your enemies in bubbles, you cover them in snow and turn them into giant snowballs. And you push those snowballs, you can hit other enemies with the snowballs, and when they crash into a wall, they go away, the enemy goes away, and in some instances, power-ups happen. But yeah, Snow Brothers is a solid enough game. Snow Brothers is a great, it's a great copy of sorts of what Bubble Bobble did. One of the primary differences is that Snow Brothers scrolls upward vertically instead of downward vertically, like Bubble Bobble does. So you could, in a way, say that this takes the scrolling of Rainbow Islands, though Rainbow Islands is multi-screens, Snow Brothers is single screen. Each level is a single screen. There are only 50 levels in the game. Every 10 levels there is a boss fight. After the boss fight, there's like a little bonus slot machine deal where you can get extra lives and stuff like that. There are power-ups that you can get. If you take too long on a level, this little dude pops up with a pumpkin head. It's like a jack-o'-lantern with a cloak. Stuff like that. But by and large, Snow Brothers is a very faithful translation to what we got in the arcades. And yeah, solid video game. There is also a Game Boy port called Bubble Bobble Jr. So if you want this on the go, you can go ahead and get that. This also recently got ported to the Nintendo Switch. So you can play the arcade version of this on the Switch. And yeah, arcade perfect. But I would say figure out a way to play this any way you can. And be mindful of your pocket, because if you decide you want a copy of Snow Brothers for the NES, oh boy, this starts at cheapest copy I saw sold for about $230. So you know what I'm about to tell you. Figure out a way to play this. There are numerous ways you can play this, right? If you really, really, really desperately need a copy of this for your collection, go with God, babe. I personally would tell you to figure out an alternate way so that you're not paying a chunk of rent, a chunk of somebody's rent, a month of school for a kid, some groceries. Like, that's a lot of money for a video game, and that's the cheapest copy I saw was $230. So it's a great video game. I don't know if I can justify that much for a copy of this, considering that I remember when this was selling for $50, $60 for a loose cart. But it's a good game, and it's one of the better titles to command that kind of price. So there you go. But this has been the 8-Bit Animal. And I'll catch you beautiful people tomorrow. Tomorrow. This series was always on the struggle bus here in the States, and when you play this first one, you kind of understand why. Game boo boo.